Little bit of context. I'm a 58-year-old white man, widowed living in Oregon. My adopted son is 22 and African American. Not sure if important, just context. His biological father, 45, is living in Los Angeles. He was always closer with his mother as I worked a lot, but she died 6 years ago. I never hid the fact that he is adopted. I was quite open with it and supported him when he wanted to find his biological parents 2 years ago. He found out that his mother died when he was 11, adopted at age 4. But his dad is still alive and owns a failing restaurant in LA. Now, I paid for his private schooling and university. I also gave him a rather large monthly allowance. Recently, I've felt my son is throwing away his opportunities. He wants to work with his biological father and take over the family business. So he has been pouring a lot of the money I gave him into this failing restaurant, with the hopes to run it one day. He owns none of it. He is just giving the money to his bio father. If he had ownership or wanted to start his own restaurant, I'd be more supportive. However, now it just seems his bio dad is using him. I noticed when he transferred $10,000 to his father, a total of $45,000 so far after investigating. I highly disagree with how he is spending this money and decided to remove his allowance because of it. I've been told before I was spoiling him due to the size of his allowance, but he had always been smart with his money prior, so I didn't think much of it, saving 90% of it. In response, he decided to drop out of university and work at the restaurant full-time. I'm worried his biological dad is taking advantage of him, so I threatened to cut him off entirely and remove him from my inheritance if he decides to continue these poor choices. My brothers are saying I'm jealous that he is building a relationship with his bio dad and is replacing me. I just don't support his life or monetary choices at the moment. I think cutting him off will make him realize he can't sustain his lifestyle and perhaps will go back to university. Am I the a-hole? Kind of not the a-hole, bordering on everyone sucks here. You're threatening an ultimatum when you should have a real discussion. Tell him how it's dangerous to invest money into something where he has no ownership. Not the a-hole. If he isn't gaining an ownership stake in the restaurant, then his father is definitely using him for that money. You can put aside that money for him yourself in case he decides later that he wants to continue his uni pursuits. Not the a-hole. It's your money. He's an adult. I would potentially, instead of writing him off your will, put the funds into a trust for education for him or his child with a third-party trust person, lawyer, after your passing. $45K isn't going to keep a sinking restaurant floating. It's likely a 1 to 3 year issue. I, 28 female, am currently 32 plus 3 weeks pregnant. Long story short, the baby daddy, 25 male, and I got a paternity test, and we found out it was his before he died, which was about a month after we got it done. We were never a couple, it was a one-night stand, but I think we would have developed a good co-parenting relationship. He was a good guy and he was really excited about our child. Anyways, he had no caring living relatives that he knew of since he was in the foster system from a young age, and no siblings, that he knew of either. He told me briefly that his mom died of an overdose, which is why he was put in the system, and he cut contact with his father. So I'm well off basically. My family comes from old money, and my child and I will never want for anything. My parents died when I was in high school, and I lived with my grandparents until they both died from virus last year, and my extended family was cut out of the will for reasons that I don't know, but my grandma told me to never give them money, and so I won't. I'm not close to them. I barely even know their names, and only saw them a handful of times, and that's when they came asking for money from my grandparents. They are apparently related to my grandma's side from her sister. I was at lunch with 3 friends a few days ago from college, and this was the first time we saw each other in a while. They don't know about my money. Obviously, I turn up with a big belly and no ring, and everyone wants details. So I give them the rundown about the baby daddy, and Diana's face turns sour. She basically told me that I was going to hell for having a baby out of wedlock, and basically judged me for not working. In a loose way. I don't have a job, but I told them I'm not currently working. Also told me that I should contact my baby daddy's father to let him know about the grandchild, because that's his right. I told her to shut the duck up, and that it's none of her business on what I do with my life or my child's, and that it's not my fault she's in massive debt with a useless degree and a cheating boyfriend who got the other girl pregnant. Well, then she left in tears, and the other girls were on my side, saying that she was out of line for her comment, but I didn't have to yell at her and stoop to her level. Well, yesterday I got a text from her boyfriend, saying I was an a-hole and not to bring up old drama. Now I'm wondering if I should contact my baby daddy's father. I don't know if my baby daddy would have wanted that, and if I was too rude to Diana. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. So, I did hire my family's private investigator, and it turns out that baby daddy father died a few years ago, so he won't be an issue. I also wanted to let you know that I went into premature labor very late last night, and my little bud is doing great. She's currently in the NICU, and her middle name is for her father. So think of Brian, Brianna type of thing. Not the a-hole. She dished it out, and the favor was reciprocated. What did she expect? She wants to be an a-hole and get a pass. Duck that. As for the baby daddy's father, don't contact him. I'm assuming he probably doesn't even know his son died, and you don't owe anyone anything. Good luck, OP. Not the a-hole. Anyone who says you're going to hell for not conforming to their religious beliefs can suck it. Any explanation of civility is gone. I hate when people say we should always respond to those BS comments in a polite manner. Sure, the higher road, blah blah. But those people who haven't been faced with comments like that in person don't get how visceral it feels to be told that out of the blue. I'm sure Diana follows all the restrictions, so no sex with her boyfriend, etc. Hypocrites always cry the loudest. As for contacting baby daddy's dad, nope. There are no such things as a right to know about or be included in the kids if a grandchild. Even if he hadn't been aggressive, he wouldn't have that right. Being included in the life of a child is a privilege to be earned. It sounds like you have enough challenges, thankfully not financial, that you don't need this guy around at all. He would probably try to get as much money from you as he could. Aggressors don't change. Am I the a-hole? Last month, my brother found out his soon-to-be ex-wife has been cheating on him. It was really ducked up since he's done so much for her. Both of my parents hated her so much since she has a very shaky history. Pretty sure they hired a private investigator. And found out she's been running away from home since she was 14. Been in the system, addicted to D, went to rehab, etc. She met my brother at a point where she was stable and had a job and everything. But they still hated her since she refused to talk about her family and past. When she got pregnant with my nephew back in 2018, my parents were both mad and didn't think the baby was my brother's. At that point, they didn't speak badly about her since my brother threatened to never speak to them again if they didn't accept her. So they were fakely liking her, but always talking badly about her behind her back. One day I was coming back from school when my nephew was like a year, and I walked into my mom putting something in his mouth and then putting it into a bag. I asked her what the hell she's doing, and she told me to mind my business. I walked over and saw she had some Amazon DNA kit she ordered. I asked her why she's doing that, and she said that she needs to make sure he's actually related to us. I told my mom our brother would be mad, and she told me there's no way he'd find out. She told me I can't tell him, and that if I do, she won't pay for my car or my college. I asked her if she's serious, since she's never threatened me, and she said yes, and that she's not even telling my dad. I thought it was super ducked up, and a few weeks later my mom told me the results were in, and she's the grandmother. After that, she became much nicer to my ex-sister-in-law, so that took some guilt off of me. Once it was exposed she cheated and they broke up, my mom couldn't wait to tell my brother that she always knew she was loose, and even got the baby tested because she needed to make sure. My brother got extremely upset at my mom and started asking me and my dad if we knew. My dad swore he didn't know, and when my brother asked me, I couldn't lie again. I told him I knew, but Mom threatened me, but he didn't care and isn't speaking to me. I was upset at first and felt bad, but it's been a week, and I don't care he's mad at me for not telling him. I was being threatened and was literally 17. My brother came over yesterday and we spoke, and he asked me to apologize like our mom just did. I said no, and he got mad again, saying I'm an a-hole. I'm going with not the a-hole. You were only 17, still a kid. Your mom threatened you. She threatened your entire future by saying she wouldn't pay for your college. Your mom is the only true a-hole. Not the a-hole, because you were a minor and your mom was threatening you. However, at this point, I think you can tell your brother you hated not telling him, and you were sorry for what your mom did. He has every right to be angry, and I'm sure validating how wrong it was will go a long way. I understand you not telling, but I also understand him being mad. I would be going out of my way to mend fences and earn his trust back. Yes, the a-hole, and apology is not always an admission of guilt. You hurt your brother. That alone is worth an apology. I'm female 59, 12 years into my second marriage with husband, male 73. I have no kids of my own by choice. Husband's 4 kids were all in or graduated from college when we met, and husband adores them. All are now married at least once, with kids and stepkids. My civility towards husband's ex-wife turned into actual friendship with her and her new husband. I'm not that close to 2 of the kids because of physical distance and different interests, but I've made it clear that they are always welcome. Spend as much time with husband with or without me as they choose, etc. There are several grandkids, both bio and added by marriage. While I dated husband, I was the play aunt. Hour or 2 of silliness and mud pies. Go home. No strings attached. After marriage, I instantly became grandma, and boundaries changed. To wit, don't buck the parents. Don't give opinions. Add more hugs, mud, balloons, and bugs. The twins, age 7 and by far the oldest grandchildren, were thrilled. So here's the problem. For as long as I remember, husband's second child, male 43, who lives several hours away, has battled his ex-wife over everything, including their twin girls who were raised almost exclusively by their mother, while second child and his wife lived a child-free lifestyle. The twins wanted to spend weekends with us. I don't let kids stay overnight at my house unless I've met and gotten the approval of both parents. Second child had rarely been involved in the twins' lives, and they were brought to family gatherings by second child's second wife, who also took on the battle against the girl's mom and badmouthed her constantly. Their mom was never invited. Second child got really cold towards me after husband and I visited his ex, and she is quite delightful and relaxed. She even drove the twins 80 miles to our house for their visits. They love coming here, and my own family loves them. I love all the grandkids, but the twins seem to be more complex and needy, so I take that into account. When they turned 18, their mom told me that they and I do not need her permission to do anything. So they and I went on a trip and shared the pics on Facebook, me, and Instagram and Snapchat, them. Second child's new wife apparently stalks the girl's social media. Second child and his new wife went ballistic, texting and cursing at me for flaunting my relationship with second child's ex, and demanding that I end the friendship and bar her from coming to the town where husband and I live. I replied that I don't like being told what to do, and I do not tell them who to talk to or how to live their lives. And then I blocked them. They are now taking out their rage on husband, who hates conflict and loves his children to distraction. He's not as sociable with any of the grandkids as I am, mostly due to age and physical ability. Husband wants me to apologize and go along to get along. I think it's crazy, disrespectful, and hurtful to the twins and their mother, and to me. I also think it's hypocritical since I'm friends with his ex-wife, whom husband loathed before I helped him mend fences. Edit. The twins got it with both barrels today, from second child and his new wife. They called raging and crying, and now they're coming down for the weekend. Their mom called too, to say she'd accept whatever I decided to do. I assured her and them that I would not budge on this. We girls are all good. I'd pay for their college myself if I didn't think I'd be permanently ostracized by the whole family for overstepping. I wish my husband would sack up and tell all of his kids that this isn't acceptable, but that's not going to happen. He's not there yet. I'm not unblocking my phone. They hurt my granddaughters. Duck them. Not the a-hole. Everyone in this scenario is now an adult and should act like it. Your inclusive, open attitude is probably what has made this situation and marriage a success. Not the a-hole. Those children are adults. They can do as they like. This guy and his new wife sound kinda nuts. I would try to add some voice of empathy, but it sounds like second child never really tried to get along with anyone and just resorts to aggression. Not the a-hole. The ex has raised the children and by all accounts done a good job. Second child and his new wife are behaving badly by badmouthing the ex, especially when you take into account how this might affect the children. Your relationship to the twins is dependent on a good relationship to the ex, and there should be no reason to not be civil. Also, it is not up to you, or anyone really, to bar her from coming to the town where you and your husband live. She's the mother of the twins and will always be the mother of the twins. And if second child doesn't like that, well, then he shouldn't have married her. Simple. I fear second child and his new wife will always find things to complain about. So your primary focus should be to be civil to all, and convince your husband that the children are the innocent in all of this and should be protected. This, of course, includes having a good relationship to their mother. Only it stands to reason you should try to extend the same behavior to second child and his new wife. So blocking them on Facebook perhaps is a bit too much, Unless they are still harassing you, then by all means.